Petersburg Times political unit, bring you thought-provoking interviews with newsmakers from the Bay Area and beyond.
Hello, everybody. I'm your host, Al Rochelle, joined by Joni James from the St. Petersburg Times, and we're talking today with Congressman Gus Bilirakis from Washington. Congressman, thank you for joining us today. Let's start out right off the top. You've got a new leadership role in Congress now that you're in the majority in the House. Tell us about it.
Well, I'm the chairman, the subcommittee chairman under the Homeland Security Committee for Emergency Preparedness, Response, and Communications. And I picked that because obviously for Florida, unfortunately we have a lot of natural disasters, and I want to make sure that there's an open line of communication between the locals and of course the federal government. And we had a meeting with Craig Fugate, who's the administrator. By the way, of course, you know he's from Florida, Al. He did a good job in the state of Florida, and the fact that I know him personally I think will help us out a lot. But I talked to my locals, and they want to make sure, again, an open line of communication. They want to be initially in on the decision-making process, and we're going to be a good facilitator, and I'm looking forward to that assignment.
Representative, talk about that a little bit. Craig Fugate had, experience in the 04 and 05 hurricanes. There's been lots of talk in Washington for a long time about trying to create a regional catastrophe fund to sort of shore up Florida's insurance market. Do you think him being in Washington helps that at all?
As you know, I've co-sponsored legislation in the past, and we're going to work on that. I'll have a sponsor here in the House, and I'll co-sponsor it again. There's never been a lot of appetite in the Senate, so we have to continue to concentrate on that. But I am for the CAP fund.
Let's talk a little bit about this week. You've had President Obama come up and say, let's give states with high unemployment rates a couple more years to pay back their loans for unemployment compensation. It appears you, I think, are against that idea, as is Governor Scott right now. What do you say, though, to these employers here in Florida who may face increased taxes to pay that loan back, and or to workers who may see drops in their state unemployment compensation?
Well, I just don't want, Joni, I don't want any short-term fixes. We need to look at the long term. And if the state, actually the federal government comes in and bails out the state again, we're going to have higher taxes in 2014. And I'm just not for that plan. I think it's very short-sighted.
Congressman, we've already gotten emails from the DCCC, the Democratic Congressional Committee, criticizing you Republicans for not having posted any kind of jobs bills in the first 30 days. Is that fair criticism?
Well, it's not fair because we just started the committee process this week. But Al, what I like to do is work on the deregulation, as a matter of fact. I toured the local businesses just last week when we had the free week in the district, and what they're worried about the red tape, they're worried about the high taxes, the permitting. We've got to grow jobs the right way, and we need permanent jobs, not short-term. And what they're saying is, a lot of the regulations need to be cut out. A lot of them are unnecessary, putting a lot of burden on the local businesses. But I think it's unfair criticism because we just began the committee process this week, and I feel it should go through committee, not right to the floor, so that the chair people have an opportunity. And as you know, Speaker Pelosi actually ran the House herself, and a lot of the chairmen did not have a lot of input, particularly in the health care bill.
All right.
So I think we're doing it the right way.
Representative, you're a seasoned veteran by Washington standards now, since there's such a large class of freshmen in the House. There's been a few hiccups this week with Republican leaders trying to pass the Patriot Act and a few other things on an expedited manner. What's your sense of how the environment's changed in D.C. since the election, and with the Tea Party movement having such impact in the House?
Well, I feel that it's good that the freshmen have the input, and I really feel that it should go through the committee process. And the will of the House, in other words, and not just let the few leaders, the majority leader and the speaker, with the whip, what have you, make the decisions. I don't think that's the way it should work. And let it flow the right way. And sure, if we have some hiccups and legislation doesn't pass, that's okay. Send it back to committee and do it right. And of course, I like the fact that we're having an opportunity now during the week. We're not going to be up there every week, but we have an opportunity to meet with our constituents, and that's a good thing.
Let's talk about health care.
So I like the approach. I like the approach so far.
Okay. Let's talk about health care. The criticism is, okay, Republicans, if you want to take down health care, that's fine, but what are you going to replace it with, and how are you going to preserve the positive aspects of health care?
Well, I think it goes, again, through the committee process. We need to focus on the costs, and that's what Democrats did not do this last time. Let it go through the committee process. I think we need free market solutions, and obviously we don't need to be cutting Medicare, and that's what happened this last time. Free market solutions, cross state lines, the associated health plans, these healthcare savings accounts are very good. Empower the individual. That's how I would proceed. But again, it will be assigned to the committee process. We'll work on the bill, have some input from the opposing party. That didn't happen this last time. So I think we'll get a better bill out of it. But we definitely need health care reform. There's no question.
Representative, you've talked a lot about let's get out of the way of creating jobs. What in the next 6 months can Congress do to help that? I mean, specifically, what do you think?
Well, I think that the regulation in the federal government, there's no question. Tax incentives would be good as well, lower the taxes. And that's how you do it. And leave us alone and create, in other words, leave the businesses alone to create the jobs. And there has to be more certainty. And in this environment right now, there's not enough certainty for the businessmen. And you can't expect them, as the President said, to spend the money if they do have funds, if there's no certainty. Because, of course, they're taking all the risk.
You know,
but that's how you create the jobs.
Regulation's a big catchphrase. It exists for a reason, to protect consumers or protect the environment. Is there any specific piece of legislation that you would like to see pass through in the next 6 months, a specific regulation?
Well, I will tell you this, Joni, there's a lot, generally, what's happening, there's too much bureaucracy involved. There's a problem with, you know, they have to go through too many loopholes, the businesses. That's what they say, and it's very, very costly. Quite a few unfunded mandates that have to disappear. And I'm tired, that's why I don't really like the President's proposal on the unemployment, because what's happening is he's passing it down eventually to the local businesses in the states. That's what's happening with the health care bill as well. So we're putting too many unfunded mandates on local government.
Government is going to be running out of money again, what, at the end of February or March? So you're going to have another continuing resolution. Are the Republicans going to try to make any political statements with that continuing funding?
Well, we need to cut the spending. There's no question. Get as close to $100 billion as possible in the spending. And we have to look at everything. We need to bring it down to, at the very minimum, 2008 levels. I'd like to get down to 2006 levels. And there are a lot of good programs out there, Al, as you know, Joni as well, but we can't afford them. And that's what I keep hearing from my constituents. You got to get serious about cutting the spending.
All right, Congressman,
thank you.
That's what we
plan to do.
Great. Congressman, thank you so much for joining us, and good luck in Washington, which is still very cold this time of year.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thank you.